You should have already read the story about Cesar Chavez on workbook pages 32 through 34. We're going to go over the questions on pages 35 through 37. If you haven't read the pages, if you haven't read the story about Cesar Chavez, you need to pause the video and go back and read it now. So the first question says, which sentence is the best summary of why Fernando Chavez thinks young people should know about Cesar Chavez? So our answer choices are, young people should know about Cesar Chavez because he was Fernando's grandfather. Well, yes, he was Fernando's grandfather, but is that the best summary? I mean, it's a true fact, but does that really summarize the whole entire passage? Not really. Young people should know about Cesar Chavez so that they can be inspired to help others like he did. Was he a very inspiring person? Did he make a lot of movements? Is that what the story was about? Yes, but let's look at the other two answer choices and see if that's the best summary. Letter C, young people should know about Cesar Chavez because he organized a union for farm workers. Well, that is true. He did organize unions for farm workers, but was that all he did? No. Young people should know about Cesar Chavez because it makes Fernando sad to see migrant families without homes. Yes, it did talk about Fernando being sad in the story, but that wasn't the whole entire story. So the best summary for this passage would have been B. Young people should know about Cesar Chavez so that they can be inspired to help others like he did. Letter C is a supporting detail of that summary. These are one of the things that he did to inspire others. Alright, number 2. Ask for 2 sentences that should be included of a summary of Fernando's answer to the second interview question. So you should go back and read the second interview question. And we're looking for 2 sentences that should be included in a summary. So letter A says, Fernando's grandfather named his dogs Strike and Boycott. Well, yes, he did have dogs named Strike and Boycott, but was that the main point of his answer to paragraph 2? Letter B says, when Fernando's grandfather died, many people came to give thanks for all that he had done for them. That is an pretty important sentence there, and it is talked about in the answer that Fernando gave to question 2. All kind of people came to Fernando's birthday party that was shortly after his grandfather's death, thanking them for all Chavez did. Letter C says, Fernando and his family miss Teta, especially at Christmas. That supports letter B as well. Being loved and giving thanks, that's why he is missed by his family. So B and C kind of go together. Let's keep going for letter D. Fernando's grandfather had 2 guard dogs that are buried near his grave. That is a true sentence, but was that the main point of what Fernando was trying to answer in question 2? No. Letter E, Teta had 33 grandchildren and he loved all of them. Yes, that was in his response that he had 33 grandchildren, but was that the main point of what his response was in question 2? And finally, the last one, Teta died just 3 days after Fernando's birthday. Yes, that is something true, and that is something that was said in Fernando's response to question 2, but that's not the main point of his response. The main point of his response were that so many people loved him and came to express their love and gratitude for all he had done, and not only were they people from outside of the family that loved him, but his family loved him also. So the 2 best sentences that should go in a summary of that response would have been B and C. Which statement best summarizes Fernando's answer to the third interview question? The third interview question states, what stories do you remember about Cesar Chavez? Well, he remembered a lot of different stories, but all of them can be summarized by one thing, and that is he was brave. Yes, he gave speeches. Yes, he worked in the fields. Yes, he held boycotts. But all 3 of those things show how brave he was. So Since brave is the main point, that is what we would include in our summary. This main idea and details is very close to a summarizing. You want to include the main idea or the main points in your summary and leave out the unimportant points. Number 4, which statement best summarizes the main idea of the interview? So now we're not looking at a specific question in the interview, we're looking at the interview in its entirety. A, Fernando is the grandson of Cesar Chavez, a famous leader in the labor movement. Yes, but was Fernando being the grandson the most important part? Fernando remembers his last moments with his teta at the side of his grave. That was in there, but was that what the whole interview was about? C, Fernando feels very sad because many migrant workers do not live in regular houses but in campers and trucks. Again, that was in there, but was that the main point of what this story was about? And finally, Fernando wants to help others when he grows up because stories about his grandfather have inspired him. That would be included in the summary. That's the best sentence for that summary. Letter D. Because he knows all of these things about his grandfather, he wants to grow up and help others. That's the best summary. Alright, part B to that question. Which detail from the text best supports your answer to part A? So remember, in part A, we say that Fernando wants to help others when he grows up because of everything he learned about his grandfather. So we need something that supports that answer. A, I'm grateful that I don't have to go through that. Well, he does want to be helpful, so he doesn't want to go through the hardships, but he does want to go through the helping aspect. These stories make me want to stand up and do something when I am older and brave. Well, is standing up and doing something helping others? Yes, and it talks about when he grows up and when he's braver and older. So B is probably our answer, but we're going to look at C and D as well. C, when I see families living in campers and trucks, I feel so sad. He may feel sad, but does that support our summary sentence that he wants to help others? Is feeling sad helping others? No. And finally, my family and I really miss him, especially at Christmas time. Missing him did happen in the story, especially at Christmas time, but does that support our summary that he wants to help others when he grows up? No. So the best detail to go with our summary was that these stories make me want to stand up and do something when he's older and braver. And finally, we have a sentence from paragraph 3. And there are still problems. People with no places to live, boycotts, and problems with contracts between farmers and workers. What does the prefix con in the word contracts mean? Well, a contract is a piece of paper or an agreement between two people. So the prefix con means together, because you enter into this agreement together with somebody else. You can't really enter into a contract by yourself. You have to enter into it with another person. Number 6. Summarize Fernando's message about his grandfather, Cesar E. Chavez. Use details from the text to support your summary. So a summary includes the main idea, and the important details. Not the unimportant details, just the most important ones. So, what was the whole interview about? The whole interview was about Cesar Chavez being a great and wonderful person, doing all his work with migrant workers. And it was told from his grandson, Fernando. Fernando even said that he wanted to grow up and do work and help others like his grandfather did. So you can write something similar to what I just said. The answer that the book gives says, in an interview about Cesar Chavez, his grandson Fernando says young people should know about Chavez and his work because it will inspire them to help others. Fernando and his family are proud of how Chavez helped migrant families live better lives. Fernando says he hopes that when he is older, he will be courageous like his grandfather was and help people to solve problems in a peaceful way. Your answer does not have to be exactly like that. You need to tell me that Fernando is Caesar's grandson. Fernando is the one telling the story about Caesar. And you need to tell me that Caesar did a bunch of wonderful things for migrant families, and Fernando wants to be like him when he grows up. That's the most important details from that passage. If you think you got it wrong, you can change your answer. You might need to pause the video. Moving on to the learning target. In this lesson, you summarize text by identifying their main ideas and key details. Explain how summarizing is a skill you can use to better understand other informational text you read. So this learning target is very similar to the learning target for main idea and details. As you can see, summarizing uses main idea and details. So why is summarizing important? Why is main idea and details important? Key details important? Well, it helps you retain the information. It helps you comprehend what you're reading. So even if you're reading like a long chapter book, it doesn't have to be something that you're doing in reading class. Maybe you're just reading a book for fun. You can take each chapter and summarize it. After you read it, be like, what did I just read about? Write a short summary of it. You might not go back until a couple of days later to read your book, and you could reread your summary and be like, oh yeah, that's what was happening in the book. And then that helps you remember what's happening so that you can follow along with the rest of your story. The answer that they gave was summarizing a text's main ideas and key details helps them locate, comprehend, and retain the most important information in the text. So just make sure that you say summarizing and main idea and details helps you comprehend or retain the information. If y'all have any questions, you can email me.